Hey, Deana, it's Adrian Igo, Capricorn Tigress of Astrology Look Inside, and I'm coming back to give you that. Remember, I promised I would do an extra update reading, and thank you for getting your date of birth. Not your date. Well, I have your date of birth, and now I have your place of birth, Mount Pleasant, PA, and I chose Adams County instead of Lancaster. They're only off by a few degrees, so we should be fine. I also pulled up a 12 o'clock chart too, and I'll just briefly go over that later, and I'll let you know how it changes things a little bit. It does change things a little bit. So you might actually be interested in that because I wouldn't say it's completely different, but it's different. I mean, okay, you'll see what I mean when I talk about it. Okay. Okay, so when I pulled up the chart for, oh wait, I changed it. This was me. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, who is that? Here we go. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, here we go. This is the 6 a.m. Okay, great. All right, Deana. Okay, so let me see here. You have, what I did was I made a chart, and I made this chart as though you were born with your sun inside of the first house. They call those solar charts, and it's sort of a wheel based upon if your sun was in the first house, and then everything else kind of falls in line after that based on the day that you were born and the location where you were born. Since we don't have your exact time, I can't promise you that everything that I'm saying is going to resonate with you. So I'll go over what I see here, and then I will briefly go over the one that I pulled for 12 o'clock, because that's another chart that is often used, where they put the sun in the midheaven or in the 10th house, and then everything falls based around that. That's a more career-oriented or image-oriented chart, but sometimes it resonates with people. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so as I look at your chart, well, one of the things that I do see is that you were born with your sun in Pisces, and Mercury conjunct your sun in Pisces. And right now, transiting Neptune is almost exactly on your Mercury, and definitely on your midheaven. It's like right between your midheaven, your natal midheaven, and your natal Mercury. And so I'm going to say it's conjunct both. I could see where you might have had some confusion over the last maybe even year or so, because definitely over the last 4 or 5, 6 months, because Neptune's been retrograde, and Neptune can confuse people. I mean, here's the thing about Neptune. Neptune has the ability to create a great illusion. I really believe that. I have Neptune in the 10th house in my chart. It's very prominent. But Neptune can also make us very confused, and it can also make us privy to deception, disillusion, illusion. People can deceive us when Neptune is really present, and sometimes we feel deceived, even when we're not. Sometimes people think we're the deceptors, or that we're deceiving, and or that we're not real or keeping it real. And you may be. I mean, even with this, it shows your Mercury and Sun conjunct in the first house. But with Neptune there, it would give off that vibe like there's something secret or something hidden or something untrue or unreal or maybe confusing. The word I always use for Pisces or Neptune is nebulous. It's very nebulous. It's very otherworldly. It's sometimes very spiritual. And I can see where this period of time could have just meant that you became very spiritual, that you look, you turn to me with astrology. I'm not sure if this is something you would have done before, but I could see with this emphasis of Neptune right on your ascendant, basically, and Jupiter up in your ninth house, which is also very spiritual. That's your excuse me, transiting Jupiter is in your ninth house. And it's going to be there for a little while because Jupiter is now moving from Scorpio into Sagittarius, and you have 19 degrees of Sagittarius in the ninth house. So you've got most of this year, great part of this year, you're going to have Jupiter sitting in that ninth house. This is a great time for you to really look at things like your spirituality and what you believe in, your philosophy, your dogma. I mean, I don't know if you're very religious or if you've ever been very religious or if you've always liked astrology or if, the looking into things like a psychic or an intuitive or an astrologer is something completely new to you. But either way, with Jupiter in the ninth house, with Neptune near your ascendant on your Mercury, you're going to really be digging and looking for the mysteries of life. You're really looking for what is out there. Like, what is true right now, right? I can really seeing that be a major focus of your life. And you've got your progressed moon in the solar or in this particular solar eighth house here. And even if this is not your chart, it's still resonating with a Piscean chart. The sun in the first house and everything set up that way. And so I'm thinking that this is probably where you're going to feel an overall effect of having that moon in the eighth house. It's in Virgo. You've had it there for years. I don't know if it means if you've got critical thinking. You also have Neptune in the eighth house. I could see where you have maybe felt some confusion about money. You've had money issues, I bet. Yeah, I can see where you have had money issues, probably. You've had Neptune there. So I don't know if by birth in the eighth house, and your progressed moon has gone over that. Thank goodness it's passed over that. And now it's trucking its way into your ninth house. You've got maybe 2 or 3 more years of it in the eighth house. But the funny thing is that you've got your sun down in the second house. So your sun is technically opposing the eighth house. Your Mercury, your progressed sun and your progressed Mercury are opposing the eighth house. Your progressed Venus is opposing that house. So there's been this weird seesaw effect when it comes to money. I mean, I can really see that. And it's emotional because it's the moon. And your security would have been tied into money, maybe even money that other people had to give to you, or money that you were expecting to get from money, like maybe a retirement or insurance or some annuity, maybe even like from the government or a pension or something like that. I can see where that's been an issue. You might even have like a lawsuit or something that might have been an issue. I'm not sure if it's been taken care of. But right now you've got your sun down in that second house, and it's going to be moving out of the second house into the third house soon. So this is, if money was a condition or something that you were looking for, you're looking at your last real big opportunity with the sun, at least with the sun, progressed sun in the second house. That's going to be moving out of there probably next year. So you got maybe another year or so. Another thing I'm seeing is that Mars is in Pisces right now, basically in the solar first house. So you might be feeling more energy and you've got more self-assertiveness than maybe normal. I can see where that could be happening. You've got your moon in the seventh house by birth and your Verde and your North Node. I don't know what's happened. I hope you married, and I could see where your marriage should be a fairly decent marriage, I would hope. If it's not, we really need to do a full reading because I have some things I could talk to you about. Now, you've got transiting Saturn in the 10th, of course, and Pluto in the 11th. So what that tells me is that work might be an issue right now. Not so much, work might be an issue. You've got Uranus in the 6th house by birth and Pluto, and the North Node too. You got your part of fortune on your descendant. I hope you did get married. I hope you are married, and I hope it worked out. Someone with their part of fortune, their Verde, their North Node, and their moon in the seventh house or near on the cusp or descendant. If you didn't marry, that would have been just a sin before God. So I and don't think it's too late if you haven't, because we can talk and work something out. I believe that things are possible. I got married once. It didn't. Well, I got married twice. Neither one of them worked out well, but I have dreams and hopes, and I don't think it's ever too late for you to find the right one. I just don't. So, even when you make mistakes, you try and you get back out there. And plus, I believe that our mistakes it's just the universe telling us, hey, you're kind of on the wrong track. I got this one over here for you. Come take a look at this one. And so you might have that issue going on. With Uranus and Pluto in the sixth house like that, though, I can see where you might have had some health issues or work issues. And I'm wondering how it's played out. Like if it played out in the area of health or if it played out in the area of work. I can say that if you've had major health issues over the last, say, I don't know, couple of years, it's probably going to get a little better because that North Node has moved out of that solar sixth house and into the solar fifth house into Cancer now and not in Leo. And so that could have been affecting your health for sure. The progressed midheaven has gone into the 12th house. So I could see where you might even be feeling like you're having a little bit of an emotional or mental issue as well. Not, just know that could also be part of the transit, but you also have like Mars, Venus, and Chiron in the 12th. So anything is possible. Anyway, I would love to tell you more. There is so much more I could tell you. It's incredible. I will say this. You've got your progressed ascendant in the solar third. No matter what happens, make sure you communicate. Okay? Communication is big for you right now. It's important. Your progressed ascendant, no matter what time you were born, would be falling there. And it means it's a time for you to open up and start communicating. If that's something that's been difficult for you before, then look at this as an opportunity. You also had, I think it was Pluto in the 11th house. I'll check when I'm looking up your chart, the other chart I did for you. Hold on 1 second. Those are both the same. Okay, here it is. All right. Yeah. I just wanted to pull up that second chart, which put your sun in a 12. And the reason why I wanted to do that, Deanna, is because, okay, so if you were born at 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning or something to that effect, yeah, you might actually have your sun in the first house. But unlike I have my sun on the first house cusp, but that's rare. Most people have their sun in other places than that first house, than their rising sign. So what I did was I did a second chart where I put your sun in the 10th house. And so, of course, that would make your life much more work oriented. And there's some issues with that. And most of the emphasis would be in your friend's house or your 11th house. Or it just kind of indicates someone who would get a great deal of satisfaction out of things like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, making friends, organization groups, and things like that. So that was one of the biggest differences. Also, the emphasis in the second house or money is still there, but not quite as much as before. It still shows some instability in the areas of money, but not quite as much emphasis in the last chart. Finally, the progressed moon would be in the in the fifth, or the area of children and love and romance. So that would probably take more emphasis in your life than not. And also, it would show that you had Saturn close to the descendant and Saturn in the seventh house, which probably would have made marriage very difficult for you, if not practically impossible to deal with as far as the responsibilities. But you could have done it. And it could also indicate that the marriage was, it was based on security and it was solid. You could trust in your partner. Now, and if that's not true, we still need to talk. And this would put that Neptune up in the ninth house in Pisces, and most of your planets up in that ninth house in Pisces, like Venus and Chiron and Mercury and transiting Neptune, and then your sun would be right inside of the 10th. Anyway, as I look at this, it indicates a certain type of life. And unless you've lived that life, I'm not sure this would be you. Someone with this chart would be very outer oriented, not very self oriented at all. Almost all of the planets are sitting on the opposite side of the chart, or like the descendant side of the chart. And so this would be a very other person oriented individual with their moon down in the fourth and their north node down in the fourth. It would be a person or a woman, most likely with a family, a husband, maybe married for many, many years and grandchildren and all of that. So if that is the life that you led and you had say a career at one point, maybe working even in, say, medical, then this might be your chart. Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing from you and seeing if either of these resonate with you. And if you feel any kind of, something that resonates more than the other, let me know, because it'll tell me if we're getting near the right area. I know I met you on Facebook, so I'm really wondering if this one is closer to you, since it would put so much emphasis of your planets in, or your progressed planets in the 11th house, because that's your Venus, your Mercury, your midheaven, and your sun. They would all be in Taurus, and it would all be in the 11th house of friends and hopes and dreams and wishes and groups and associations and organizations and things like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. And you do, or would have, your ascendant in the third house of communication progressed anyway. So yeah, interesting stuff here. Very interesting. I don't know, but when I was doing the other chart, that felt like it was more you. I don't know why, but I'm very interested in hearing if either of these resonated with you. And I thank you for the opportunity to look over your chart and to do these readings with you. Although they're just my general free readings, it's always interesting to see if I can help someone find themselves, especially through astrology. So I thank you for the opportunity. Wishing you so much love and light. And I feel like I need to wave my magic amethyst here. Wishing you much love and much light, many blessings. Hoping that we've stumbled on to a message that you really needed to hear through these charts today, and at least point you in the direction of where you need to focus on now in your life purpose. I'm sending out my blessings to you, Deana, and wishing you all the best. Namaste.